Alrighty, so News of the Week episode on this Thursday afternoon, and it's actually been a while since I've done a News of the Week episode because there hasn't really been some big news that is coming out of MLS. Well, actually, I say that, and the first news we're going to talk about is definitely a big news, but in terms of signings and transfer, which is kind of the thing that drives the News of the Week episode for really the past couple of months, there really isn't any of it that has happened in these last couple of weeks, and that's not a big surprise considering we're now in the beginning of the season, and the season has really got going to a point where, yeah, teams are not going to make some signings and trade until when we get into the summer, where those transfer rumors and signings will once again appear. But let's start by talking about something that is big that has happened this week, and this has been a thing that's been going on for the past couple of weeks, and it looks like it is a matter of time before it's approved. And when it does approve, I'll definitely make a video talking about this, and that, of course, is that there is multiple reports suggesting that MLS is set to change the roster rule ahead of the summer transfer window. So yeah, what this is basically is something we already talked about before, where it seems like the league is going to change the U22 initiative. We kind of already mentioned that, but it seems like there are other rules that's going to be including into this, where they're going to increase the contract buyout, where every single team get one contract buyout. Seems like that's now going to be two. And in terms of transfer fee that you can basically add it into GAM, well, now that's going to be increased to about $3 million. And that, yeah, overall, I know some people will say that that still feels very minimized, and that it feels kind of almost like the bare bone the league is trying to do in terms of changing the roster rule. Obviously, we've been talking about this for a long time now. Even Tata Martino the other day have sound off about the problem with the roster rule, and the issue of why we've seen MLS team that are not being able to compete in the highest level in the CONCACAF Champions Cup against Liga MX's opponent, and also the thing that's kind of holding this league back to get more recognition in the growth of this league. So yeah, again, once those rules are implemented, definitely do a video talking about that. But it's just going to be a matter of time before it is going to be officially approved, and that's going to be the rule that's going to be set in during the summer. Now, the Vancouver Whitecaps, they have announced that they have officially sold out their season tickets. Now, this is not a big surprise considering, the hype for the Whitecaps is definitely real. I mean, it all started with Vanni Sartini being the coach of this team, and he has really bring the energy to this team that we haven't seen the Whitecaps had done in a very long time. And it also doesn't help the fact that I think right now the Whitecaps is currently first in the Western Conference. They're getting off to a great start under Vanni Sartini. And I also love how, when they decided to advertise the Messi package. The Whitecaps is one of the more luckier team to be able to face Inter Miami at home that is out of the West. Though there is a question whether or not if Messi indeed will be playing in the stadium, because it is turf, and there are some interesting kind of things when regards of Messi and his friends playing on turf. They don't really tend to like it. At least that's what some people have said. But there's no doubt that the Whitecaps have done a smart thing where well, that is definitely a big game, and that's going to be a game that's going to sold out the stadium. We'll probably have the highest attendance ever at BC Place for a Whitecaps game in that one. The Whitecaps did a smart move by saying that, yeah, we're gonna put that in a package. We're gonna basically say that, well, you can basically guarantee you're gonna get seats to that event, but you're also gonna have to buy this package so you can attend other games. I like how when teams basically does that, because that basically just shows that, yeah, when it comes to a big game like that, you're not just gonna be there just because you want to see Messi and play. The Whitecaps want to see those fans to basically go to their games, and maybe even start to support the team as well. And I think that's kind of showing it too, with the way that the season tickets are completely sold out right now. They want also take advantage of that game as well, because when you buy the season ticket, I also just realized there's an ant on the thing. I don't know how in the world did the ant actually got uh, onto the board there. But anyway, yeah. The fact that if you buy the season ticket, that means you're basically guaranteed to have uh have that chance to attend that game as well. So overall, obviously this is not a big surprise. And again, the other thing I will also say is the attendance at Whitecaps game has definitely increased. I mean, if I'm gonna do a video talking about the attendance, which I'll probably do maybe in the middle of the season compared to this season, to last year. The Whitecaps are definitely the one that has increased, and part of that is due to the fact that there are some games where they open full bowl in their stadium, but also just the fact that the team is playing well, and Whitecaps fans, they're finally have a reason to show up and finally they get a chance to watch a team that is playing very well, and that I've said it many times before, and I'll say it again. You're gonna get fans in the seat, and attendance are always going to be high if the team is winning. If the team is winning, the attendance is going to be good. If the team is not winning, especially after a couple of seasons, yeah, the attendance is probably going to be pretty bad. Now moving on. So the Williet Point Phase Two development has now been officially approved by New York City Council. Now the reason why want to mention that is because part of that Williet Point Phase Two development includes the new NYCFC stadium, and that with the way that this has been approved, it is pretty much now guaranteed that that stadium is going to be built. I mean, we kind of knew that that was the case, but you never know. This is New York City politics, and you know how it works when it comes to New York City politics. It can get a little bit murky at times, but great the fact that this is pretty much almost a staple to say that yeah, indeed NYCFC is finally going to build that soccer specific stadium, and that the timeline says it's going to be 2026, but obviously it's probably be great for the fact that yeah, finally a team that I think if there's one team that is long overdue in terms of getting themselves a soccer specific stadium, it's going to be NYCFC with the way that they've been playing so many different stadium, and it's almost like the butts of jokes. But finally, with them getting a new stadium, not to mention about 300 mile north, that is the New England Revolution. They themselves is also in the early stage of developing a new soccer specific stadium. Finally, started to see the bygone era finally goes away, where the bygone era of teams playing in MLS 1.0 kind of stadiums that are kind of like NFL stadium play in a cavernous space with the attendance. While it might be high at times, it still look relatively empty because you're playing in an empty stadium. That's eventually going to go away, and this is also where I'm hoping that might be the same case for Charlotte, because while I know Charlotte have said that they're committed to play at Bank of America Stadium, and I know Bank of America Stadium is getting some renovation being done. I really hope eventually they'll find a way to build themselves a soccer specific stadium, because while Charlotte games has been the attendance has been pretty good. I mean, they are one of the highest attendance in the league. You do still see some empty seats because of the way that the lower bowl is very big, and not to mention it kind of it's not really a good look to see the entire upper bowl basically being empty, and that it just kind of feels like it's a half empty stadium, even though the atmosphere at Charlotte games is absolutely electric, even with the the fact that half of the stadium is empty. Now, Atlanta United, they are set to expand their current training facility, and this is not a big surprise considering with the way that the U.S. men's national team, it seems like they're moving into to Atlanta as one of their headquarters and training facility. It seems like Atlanta is going to take advantage of it and basically expand their current one. I mean, their current training facility is definitely good, but now the fact that they're going to expand it, it just makes it even more world class. So yeah, great to see that Atlanta United's already started to think about expanding their training facility, and I won't be surprised if other teams are going to do so, because we have seen other teams that have their own training facility, but eventually I think teams are going to renovate it or even expand it because maybe it started to outgrow itself in the original plan. Now, MLS Next Pro has announced that they are going to have their teams that's gonna have their own names starting next season. So all these teams that have basically their the team name, and then it's like the second team. So for example, Minnesota United 2, FC Cincinnati 2, or even Inter Miami 2. Those names are not going to be the case next season. Next season, their team is going to get their original name, and it's kind of interesting because we're already seeing some MLS Next Pro team that have their unique name. I mean, we saw it this season with the way that the Quakes, instead of calling themselves Quakes 2, they now call themselves the Town FC, though it was definitely in a very controversial way, especially the location that they decided to settle. But we also seen the Galaxy decided to retire their Lost Dolls kind of name, which I mean, it kind of sad to see because that's what the Galaxy have always labeled for a long time. But they changed their name to Ventura County FC, and I think we're gonna start to see the same thing with other of these teams. I mean, some other team, more notable team like Crown Legacy, which was Charlotte FC two team, they changed. They actually had their name since the extension. They never actually changed the name, and now we're gonna see that that is gonna be the case for every single team. Now, what's also interesting is that they mentioned that they are gonna be playing around 100-mile radius of their affiliate team, and they would hope that these teams will actually eventually maybe get their own stadium and not just play at college soccer stadium, which is kind of interesting because I have no problem with these teams playing in college soccer stadium. I mean, East College Soccer Stadium is definitely much better than playing at a high school soccer or high school football field, as I have seen. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to turn out. And that again, the MLS X Pro, they're definitely making some rule changes every single year to try to continue to improve this minor league system, which there's been some debate of whether or not it's been successful or not. And then finally, in terms of the last news, before we talk about the power rankings, so MLS have released the One Planet pre-match tops ahead of Earth Day, and unfortunately, I aren't able to show it because my phone is actually charging in the other room. But when you look at it and really just kind of search it up, it's kind of like the Parley jersey. It feels like this year MLS is not going to release the Parley jersey, which I think it's a good idea that they decide not to do that because it was kind of weird to see all these teams wearing different Parley jerseys, and that the Parley jersey, man, most of them looks very, very ugly. And I feel like if MLS was going to celebrate a theme in terms of some of these days, like what we see in Earth Day, why can't they just do it something they do before, where I think like in terms of the month of June, they celebrate Pride Month, and every team has different kind of Pride themed jersey. The 4th of July, we see team MLS decided to have all these teams have different jerseys from 4th of July that are pre-match tops mostly, and I feel like this is going to be the same thing again, and I have no problem with that because again, it's just weird seeing one week where we have teams wearing the identical jerseys, and those jerseys doesn't even look good at all whatsoever. And then finally, like I said, the power rankings. We have a new number one, as the New York Red Bulls are now officially number one in the standings, and it feels like it's been a long time since the Red Bulls are number one in the power rankings, but they are at the top of the Eastern Conference right now. Columbus, of course, dropped one spot, followed by the Philadelphia Union, that is also making their way up in the standings. Then you got Vancouver currently at the top of the West, FC Cincinnati in fifth place, Inter Miami in sixth place, LA Galaxy in seventh place, Atlanta United in eighth place, LAFC in ninth place, and then rounding up the top 10 is Minnesota United. So there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of the news of the week. And like I said, not really much news that I I see this week that is worthy to mention in the news of the week episode. But if there's any news that I didn't mention, or if there's any news you want me to kind of also talk about, let me know in the comments below as well. Maybe I'll talk about that in the preview tomorrow, or maybe I'll leave it a comments below in terms of some of the news that you want me to talk about that didn't make the cut in terms of talk about in this news of the week episode. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.